Alright, one thing I do really quickly want to talk about is caching. And it is very, very important when you're doing your sim. So I just reopened this scene, may have crashed Maya. And previously I was on frame 345. You'll notice that my sim is no longer there. Pretty much if you don't cache, your sim isn't going to show up. And what caching is basically saving your simulation for a few different reasons. One, if you reopen your scene, you don't need to resim it. Two, if you are rendering, like if you're actually doing an animation with this and you're rendering a bunch of frames, your render crashes halfway through, your sim is basically broken, and you'd have to re-render or recalculate your sim and hope that your renders doesn't crash again, which is grotesquely inefficient. And also, if you're rendering on multiple computers, sometimes the computers will calculate your sims differently. So if you care what your sim looks like, you definitely want to cache it. So it's actually really straightforward. Just grab your fluid container, go into your FX menu, do ncache, and create new cache for a Maya fluid. Pretty much everything else you'd use nObject for, but in this case, this is a fluid container, so we're going to use fluid container. I usually do open the settings for this, and I'm going to find somewhere else to put this. Namely, at least somewhere in the vicinity of my file. I do have some standards, kind of. I'm looking for the Head on Fire folder somewhere. Personal projects. Where am I going? It's right here. I can feel it. Oh, it's literally right here. I'm dumb. All right, cool. So we're gonna grab this, where it's gonna stash your sims. You can name it something different. Low res cache. I don't usually worry too much about the cache format. I like just doing one file per frame. I feel like it might be a little larger, but if your cache crashes halfway through, you at least have some data for it. And then you can do different settings here. I'm just gonna do, I'll do to like 500 because it's a really tiny sim. And you can evaluate every however many frames. And save every however many evaluations. So normally what I recommend is, at a minimum, evaluate every one frame, otherwise it'll probably break your sim, maybe. And then if you want, you can save every 5th evaluation. So that's basically calculating the whole sim, but saving every 5th frame. Normally I just leave these at 1 or 1. If you want, what you can also do is do like 0.25 for evaluate. So it's doing 4 evaluations per frame. It's going to take longer. And you could save every frame, or you could save every, every 4th evaluation, and that's basically going to save like every frame. It's just doing more calculations so your sim will be more accurate. Normally I just leave this at 1 or 1. You can turn off, like I'm not actually using fuel or color. I don't even know what some of these are. Mostly texture core. Actually, no. Yeah, I'm not really sure what that one is. And then you would just go ahead and hit apply. And it's basically just going to go through and like sim your sim. It'll also stash your data for later. So I'll just let this run through. But now we should be able to also scrub through our timeline once this cache is enabled and have a nice looking little sim. And again, this is always the safest way to do stuff. You can save multiple caches and turn them on and off if you want to sort of save like iterations or work in progress stuff. I actually do that like kind of frequently. But definitely if you care about, saving the project for the future, you always want to cache stuff. And caches take up a whole crap ton of disk space, but it's 100% worth it. So what you can do, you'll see that we have this little low-res cache 1, because I named it low-res cache. You could turn this off and let it keep simming. You could also, say, start this on, if this was supposed to be started on frame 30, you could go back and kind of like shift, basically shift where your sim starts, that kind of thing. And actually, I may have done it in the wrong spot, but anywho. But what this allows us to do, so we have this, good lord. So this is at frame 1, nothing's actually here yet. Let's actually scroll out, like real people. Alright, so we have frame 1, and now we can basically just scrub through our sim, and you'll see that since it's pre-calculated, we can scrub through this and basically pick a frame that we like and that we think is pretty, which is just like really convenient, honestly. And again, definitely safer if you're doing any kind of batch rendering operation. So that's pretty much caching.